My assignment is very simple. I want to challenge you. I want to. I always like to say that I'm an experiential speaker. An experiential speaker in the sense that God has allowed me to go through a lot in life that makes it a lot compelling to be able to um, help the younger generation or the generation after mine to help in whatever capacity I can to help them find their journey. And I believe that the whole essence of what Afárá Africa is doing, Lekon is doing through Afárá Africa is basically, trying to, raise a new breed of a new generation that would not just only think about their own pockets or how much they can make for themselves out of life, that selfish kind of thinking, but also thinking about how you can also be of impact to your society. So just imagine having to replicate people like Lekon, having hundreds of people like Lekon who you don't just think about how much you can make, but you're also thinking about how you can help the next generation. Definitely, there's going to be the effect in society is going to be enormous. All right, and that's exactly why I believe that he has put forward this initiative, this program, to inspire a generation. And that's something that I'm personally passionate about, right? I'm personally passionate about young people. I've had experiences in my life where the only way I can describe it is that I've been raped, and that's how I say it. When I talk about it to a lot of people, I've been raped by the same set of people that you had so much hope, so much trust, so much belief, that they were going to help you navigate the affairs of life. And then at the end of the day, what happens is that you find yourself in a situation where you are exploited, and then you really don't find help. But in all these experiences, one of the things that God has helped me to do is to build resilience and to build better focus in life. And most importantly, also to realize that my vision in life, or whatever I'm able to achieve, my purpose in life, is inextricably tied to how many people, especially young people, that I'm able to point in the right direction. And that's why I'm very grateful to Lekon for giving me this opportunity. I don't take for granted, or I don't take lightly. When Lekon said, when I got the topic and he says the catalysis, right? What comes to mind readily is the chemical reactions those back in the days where you did chemistry in school. And for those of us that did sciences or they did chemistry at some point, catalysis is a term that speaks to a substance that helps to increase or speed up the rate of a chemical reaction without that substance in itself being consumed or undergoing any form of deformity or change in itself. And so when I hear the word catalysis, right, when I hear the word catalysis, I think it's not just a play of words, it's actually an intentional proclamation to help each and every one of us. It's an intentional proclamation to help each and every one of us understand that even though we are in the world, we are not of this world. That the fact that you are in this world, the expectation of a creature is still for you to manifest. And in manifesting, you don't have to conform to the patterns of this world, but you need to be transformed, in order that you will be the light that shines in the world. The Bible says in Matthew 5:16, says, "Let your light shine before men that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." In other words, God intentionally positioned you. God intentionally allowed you to be born at such a time as this, to be born into the family that you are born in, not by accident, not by happenstance, but because there is a definite purpose, there is a definite agenda for your life. And you can never attain that purpose, you can never attain that height in life if you continue to complain about situations, right? Life does not respond to complaint, it responds to actions. Life responds to demands, and that's one of the things I got at an early stage of my life. I'm going to be sharing stories, and that's why I say I'm an experiential speaker. I'm going to be sharing stories about my own life experiences and how my life journey also, I'm going to be mirroring my life journey with on a lot of the things I'm going to be talking about. I was born into a family. I'm the last of 8 children. Lived in a room and a parlor. We're born into a family, the last of 8 children, and it was a struggle. Really, it was really a struggle. And that's why a lot of times I tell a lot of young people that, I mean, if you expect me to pity you, I'm sorry. I have empathy, right? There's a difference between empathy and pity, right? What a lot of young people want is pity. You want people to pity you. The truth about it is that the more, if what you want is pity, you're right. When people have pity on you, it's almost very difficult for you to get out of that state of being pitied. But if all you require is empathy, all you just want is to say, look, I know that things are difficult, but I'm pushing, I am doing my best. And I just need people to acknowledge that I am working hard, not people to say that, oh, sorry, oh, hey, Bele, So in life does not respond to pity. And that's one of the things you have to know. And you have to understand that God has raised you as a catalyst to your generation. In other words, there are a lot of solutions, there are a lot of answers that your generation requires, that it has to come from you. And if you do not get to the point where you actually begin to live out your full potential, then you are depriving your world, you are depriving your generation of what God has deposited in you. I don't know if I'm making sense. Okay. So, just another check, Ore. I hope you can hear me.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
All right, beautiful. So God has deposited a lot in each and every one of us, and yeah, life doesn't respond to pity. You have to make a demand on life. You have to make a demand on life, and so as a catalyst, God has made you a catalyst that you might be able to influence your generation for good. So what Lekon is doing today is manifesting the catalytic take personality or whatever it is, deposit that God has put in him, right? And one thing you need to know about a catalyst, right, or the catalytic process, is the fact that, and that's one of the things that we all need to go home with today. Catalysts are often specific in the reaction that they catalyze. And what that speaks to is the fact that you cannot come to this earth and live without purpose or without focus in life. I hear Lekon say it a lot of the times that, people he worked with are serious people. And I think sometimes I always ask myself, the early days of our association with Lekon, I always ask myself, hope I was not too harsh, on him. Because there were certain things I always told him. Like, you see, I have zero, and I think Oren knows that about me also. I have zero tolerance for time wasters, especially young people. If you are a time waster, I have zero tolerance for you. You know why? Because I don't want to. I don't want I don't want to pity you. Rather, I want to fuel you to the point where you understand that everything that you have to make a change in your life and in your generation is inside of you. And all you need to do is to look inwards and unleash your potentials. And that's one of the things I'm going to be talking about today, because the truth about it is that we all have innate potentials. We have innate abilities between us. The difference between those of us that have been able to unleash our potentials and those who are unable to do that is just hunger. How hungry are you? All right. How hungry are you? It is the hunger in you that enables you, that allows you, to push beyond the boundaries that life has set on you, and to say to yourself that even though nobody in my family has attained a particular height, that I am going to attain and I'm going to surpass that height. All right. It is the gifting. Like I was saying it to you, I was born into a home, a room and a parlor with 8 children. But one thing that I learned in life, early on in life, is to say that, look, where I was born has no business, has nothing to do with where I am going. It has absolutely nothing to do with where I'm going. Where you were born, the conditions of your birth has nothing to do with where you are going. And you must settle that within you. Otherwise, you will continue to stay in the shackles that have held generations before you bound. So there are people that have said, oh, in my family, nobody ever attained this particular height. In my family, nobody ever done this, nobody ever done that. And those are limiting beliefs that have set you on a particular level. And it's generational. People before you have said, look, you can't go beyond this level. Sometimes for some of us, it's even the words that our parents have spoken to us that have held us at a particular level. Our parents are people who are the guardians, people who are supposed to be, they're supposed to help us in life, are the ones that have said to us, yes, I know you can do it, but you know what? This is the limit you cannot pass. And the truth about it is that for you to be able to break through from that limit, right? Everything that you need to do, resides within you. Question is, how hungry are you? Today is Lacon's day. Today is Lacon's birthday. So I'm going to be saying a lot of things, about him, or I'll say some things that he probably might not have known. One of the things I loved about him, is the fact that he was very hungry, right? You could see the first time I set my eyes on him and I had a conversation with him, you could see somebody that was very, very hungry. Somebody that knew that, look, if I stay where I am, right, a lot of things will elude me. So he was very, very hungry. And so how hungry are you is one of the questions I'm going to be asking you today. The Bible says in Psalm 107 verse 9, I read the NIV, it says, he satisfies the thirsty and fills the hungry with good things. In other words, it is the extent of hunger that you have that determines the amount of, so the point I'm making is that at the end of the day, it's all about you. How hungry are you? Are you the kind of person that you have achieved a little success in life and then you relax, you say, oh, that's it? Or maybe you eventually, nobody in your family has ever gotten into the university, and then, oh, fine, you get into the university and then you think you have achieved a lot. No, that is just the starting point, right? You have to, at every point in your life, you have to set new goals for yourself. Yes, you have gotten to the university. The next thing you are going to ask yourself is, what is this university going to know me for, right? What am I going to get out of this university with? Am I going to come with nothing, or I'm going to go? Of course, if you get into the university, if you're the first person in your family, you get into university and you drop out of the university, you have achieved. you have achieved. So it is an achievement if what your frame of reference is your family limitations. But if your frame of reference is the goal, is the potential that God has put in you, then you know that you are just starting. At every point in your life, you know that it is just a starting point. So your frame of reference is very, very critical in what we are talking about. If you look at it from where you are coming from and you look at where you are in your life journey, you probably be okay to say, yes, I have done so good. Pat yourself on the back and say, oh, hooray, I've gotten to where I want to be. But that's not it. Where you must always look at yourself is the frame of reference from where God has ordained for you to do. One of the difference between successful people and people who are not successful is that successful people are often just people who were a little hungrier and thirstier for success than the rest of us. So what we desired, they pursued. Somebody like Napoleon, Napoleon was born into poverty. His classmates made fun of him in school, but he devoted himself to his books, excelled in his studies, and became the brightest student in the class. Before his life was over, he conquered much of the world. If a seedling tree has to fight his way up through rocks to get to sunlight and air, then wrestle with storms and frost to survive, you can be sure of one thing: its root system will be strong and its timber resilient. So nature in itself teaches us that it is impossible to succeed without going through adversity. So whatever it is that is the adversity you are going through now, I want you to announce to you that it is in that adversity that the ingredient to succeed in your life exists. I said to you that I was born into a family where, people don't believe it when I say to them that I hocked Ugu. I hocked Ugu in Oworoshoki. I hocked Ugu in Oworoshoki. There was nothing I didn't do. I played Jeon on the streets. I played football to the point that I was nursing injury. And I was not playing football because I wanted to become a superstar footballer. I was playing football just to be able to, I was doubling money. So I have my pocket money for the day that I'm going to take to school, maybe 10 naira or something. I keep that money. You see, I keep that money because look, I need to double this money. So I keep it till after school, and then I go to play Jeon. And you know that kind of football. We play, you die here. You know, you play first to score two. That kind of football that your opponent want to score, you throw all your body into it. Why? Just because you want to double your 10 naira to 20 naira, just to be able to find something to eat. You know, that's how hard, how difficult life was. And the truth about it is that if you hear the stories of people who have pushed through the limiting barriers, you will see that there are obvious barriers that tend to hold them down. But the difference is that at the point in your life, you have to wake up and tell yourself that, look, I am more capable beyond every barrier that is trying to hold me down. And so when Lekon says to you, this is a wake-up call for the youth, you know, the question there is, you don't wake somebody that is awake. The fact that he used the word wake-up call means that there is a potential in you that hitherto has been sleeping, and you have to unleash. And this is the message I came with today to tell to you, you need to unleash your vast potentials. When you say wake up, it presupposes that there's an innate potential in you. There's something in you that if you tap it, beyond all that you have been through, beyond all that your parents have been through, beyond all you are currently going through, what you are going through, your background does not have a right to put your back to the ground. The experiences of your past does not have a right to define your future. It is about how you decide, or you know, there's something we say that look, there's something we say in Igbo language. It says when you wake up that that is the dawn of the day for you. So you have to wake up at this time and tell yourself, you have to tell yourself that whatever I am going through is not the making of anybody. Let me tell you something. When I was growing up, there were things I wanted to do that I went to people that they did not understand what I was going to, what I wanted to do. And so some people despised me, some people posted me. And I can tell you, the people that I trusted the most, people that I felt were supposed to be the first line of people that should believe in me, they despised me. There's a business initiative I'm starting now. And I wrote down the names of people that are very close to me, elderly people that I felt, look, when I talk to them, because it's capital intensive, when I talk to them, I believe that they will understand where I'm going to and they will rally in. You know what? They are the same ones that will keep me on the phone for hours, 5 hours and all that. And at the end of the day, the answer still is no. But guess what? The Holy Spirit reminds me that isn't that the story of your life? At every point in time, people despised you. People did not understand what you were going through, what you wanted to achieve. They don't understand your story. But at the end of the day, when the glory comes, everybody wants to be involved. Everybody remembers, oh, is that not my boy, Hugo? All right. And that's going to be the story. And there's nothing wrong with that being your story. It makes your story more compelling, especially when you understand that whatever you're going to achieve in life is not just about yourself. It's about a generation. It's about people. There are people that are going to hear your story and are going to hinge on your story to have hope for their own life story. And so that's why you have to be very intentional about your life. There are potentials that God has put in you that you have to unleash. You know, when we talk about unleashing, we talk about your to be released or to become unrestrained. There are things in you, there are latent qualities or abilities that God has put in you that you have to release. Until you release those latent qualities, right? Until you release those latent qualities, you won't be able to attract the kind of premium that God wants you to attract. The potential has nothing to do with your background or your academic qualification, with the certificates you have or whatever it is. It has nothing to do with it. It has everything to do with you aligning yourself with what God has predestined for you to do. You know, we live in a day and age where sometimes we're shy about our identity. If you don't know who you are, right? If you don't know who you are, then it's very, very difficult for you to know whose you are and what has been made available for you. All right? So today, without wasting time, I'll just go straight. Because of time, I'll go straight into 7 nudges that can help you to unleash your potentials. 7 nudges that can help you to unleash your potentials. The first nugget you need to know is that you need to explore your power of imagination, right? Your power of imagination. You see, the truth about it is that this is one thing that God has given to every one of us. The ability to put on your imagination. God has gifted every one of us. And I think it was Kunle Shoriyo that said almost 22 decades ago that I sat under his teaching, and he said something. He said, when you have a vision, I'm trying to paraphrase it. When you have a vision, he said the difference between a vision and television, right? Or a vision and what's the word? What's the word now? Difference between a vision and fantasy. Yeah, the difference between a vision and fantasy is that one you envision, you imagine something, and then you move towards the direction of making it happen. The other one is that you just sit down every day. A lot of us fantasize about things. You sit down in your head and you have fantasizing about one day I'm going to be I'm going to own this company, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to travel around the world, I'm going to do that's mere fantasy. If there is no strategic next action plan on how to become that thing that you have earmarked to be, right? So you need to explore your power of imagination. The Bible says in Proverbs 29:18-18a, it says, where there is no vision, what happens? The people perish. So you must have a vision for your life. And when we talk about vision, it's about painting a clear picture about where you want to be in life. So you will never get to a destination that you have not yet preconceived. I take that again. You will never get to a destination that you have never preconceived. When you wake up in the morning and you say you are going to a particular destination, you have already preconceived that destination in your mind. And so when you preconceive the destination, you know what you want to do. You know what you want to achieve or what you are going to that place to do before you set out to do that, to head towards the bus stop, to take a vehicle to get to that place. So there is nothing like happenstance. Ask everybody that has succeeded in life. It's not anybody that you see that's success happens to like lottery, right? You see that wealth or that wealth disappears immediately. But for everybody that has envisioned the future and they work consistently towards it, you know what happens? They get there. So you cannot get to a destination you have not envisioned. And that's why Helen Keller, the blind woman, said, the worst thing that can happen to you as a human being is to have sight and not have vision. That's a blind woman advising you. So the worst thing that can ever happen to you is for you to have sight and not have vision. So you must have a clear picture of the future that you want to feature in. One of the things that helped me in life was the fact that as a teenager, I attended a conference. And I'll be saying it. I said, one day I'm going to meet him and I'm going to tell him. I attended a conference it was a missionary training conference, right? As a teenager. And I had a man called Jekepele. I'm sure you all know him. He's an albino. And he came there and he said something about how he became a millionaire before the age of 21. And at that conference, I said to myself, I looked at him and I'm like, look, if this man, an albino, somebody that naturally, humanly speaking, you say he's handicapped, right? And if that person is able to achieve this by selling, he said he was hawking newspapers, he was hawking books and doing all that, So he was doing all these things. Imagine an albino hawking under the sun. Imagine, what he was. So he was subjecting himself to all these things, and then he was able to achieve his goal. The goal he set for himself to be a millionaire at 21. I said, if he could do it, how much more me? I would do it. And I said that. The truth is that, yes, I didn't become a millionaire at 21, but not far from 21, I became a millionaire. All right? So you must have a clear picture of the future you want to feature in. And I didn't want to become a millionaire just because I wanted to be a millionaire. I had clear purpose about what I wanted to do in life, right? And so every point in time, I continue to review my vision. One of the things I must tell you about vision is that, you see, any vision the vision that is bigger than you is that vision that has people embedded in it, that has impact embedded in it. Any vision that does not have impact embedded in it is useless. And one thing about selfish visions is that, you know what? They often never materialize. The moment you switch your vision gear to being about impact, why do I want to be the richest man in Nigeria? Why do I want to own this big corporation? Why do I want to do this? If it is not beyond yourself, then you are in trouble. So have a clear vision, have a clear picture about the future that you want to feature in. The second thing I want to say is that you must set goals. You know, like I said earlier on, Kunle Shorian said, the difference between vision and fantasy is that one had clear goals, clear momentum towards achievement, whereas the other one is just that you sit down every day, you sleep, you wake up, and then you just expect that anything will happen to you. So you must set clear goals. You know, the Bible says in Philippians 3:14, it says, I press toward the mark for the prize of the high calling of God in Christ Jesus. Goals are simply breaking down the vision into smaller pieces that are measurable in time and space. So you must break down your vision. So you say to yourself, where I am right now, whatever I am, that's fine. But I want to become this person. Now, if you want to become that person, next thing you need to ask yourself is, who are the people that are currently who I want to become? When you identify the people that are currently the people that I want to become, try to read about their story. Try to read about their life journey. You see, anybody whose story you read and you have gaps that you can't explain, flip, go to another story. See, every successful person at every timestamp of their life, you can see, you know, there is a connection between every part of every piece of the puzzle. So when you begin to read the story of somebody and say, "Oh, I did not have shoes," or I was playing football on the street when I was 13, and then by 15, I became a millionaire. What happened in between? You need to know. You need to know the positioning, the alignment. You see, there are a lot of things that help in your life, and so there are things that will happen that will help fast track the achievement of your vision. I mean, I'm not underestimating that, but those things are things that you can talk about, right? So you need to identify the people who have achieved the things you want to achieve, and you ask yourself, how did they get there? What are the baby steps they took? What are they, so you need to now do the reverse engineering for yourself and say, if I said to myself, I want to be a president today, right? In another 16 years, I want to be the president of Nigeria. You know what I've got to do? I've got to now ask myself, what are the things that I need to start doing now in order to be there? Definitely, I have to become a politician, a partisan politician. Well, definitely, I have to begin to learn. I have to begin to associate with politicians, networking with people. It doesn't happen like that. You must prepare. Success is made when opportunity meets with preparation. You must constantly prepare towards achieving what you want to achieve in life. The third thing I want to say to you is that then you must search inwards. You discover your gift. There is something that God has put in you that only you can discover. You know, I always say this, and I will say it over and over again. Everybody was born naked, but nobody was born empty. Everybody was born naked, but nobody was born empty. You know, so there is something in you that God has put in you. Romans 12:6 says that having then gifts differing according to the grace that is given to us, whether to prophesy and on, but we all have gifts according to the grace that is given unto us. There is a gift that there is something in you. Some of you, the problem is that you have made your gifts a liability. Some of you can talk from today to tomorrow. But you know what? That talk is what is putting you in trouble and making your helpers run away from you. There are people that think, oh, because the thing that is supposed to be the gift, the thing that is supposed to be the asset that God has placed in you, you have abused it. You have not harnessed it. You have not polished it. You have not touched it up. So rather than it becoming an asset, it becomes a liability. Rather than it being an instrument that attracts people towards you, you know what it has become? It has become something that makes people run away from you. So you have to search inwards and discover your gifts. There is something that God has put in you that is supposed to help you unlock your next level. Nobody's going to discover it for you. You know this thing they say, somebody say they discovered a player. No, they didn't. Nobody discovered any player. You didn't discover anybody, right? You just found you found that person, because the discovery happened when the person started expressing the gifting of God upon their lives. So if a footballer has a skill, that an innate skill of playing football, and he doesn't get to the field to play, there is no point that a scout will see him. So the scout did not discover him. He discovered the gift of God in his life, and then he found expression. So it brings me to the fourth thing that you must do. You must constantly engage your gifts. It's not enough to have a gift. You must engage your gifts. It is only the gifts that are engaged that brings that attracts premium. A gift that is not committed to useful and productive engagement will soon become a liability. So you have to put your gifts to useful engagement. And when you read about the parable of talents in Matthew 25, you will understand you know how God frowns against those of us that have been committed, we have gifts that have been committed in our hands, and we do not maximize it. You know, the Bible talks about the talent, the man that was given one talent, and then he went to sow the talent, you know, quote and unquote, sow the talent. He said he buried he opened the ground, buried the gold coin, you know, buried the talent in the ground. So it is a gift that is committed to useful and productive engagement that will soon become that will not become a liability. So engage your gifts, no matter how little it is. Let me tell you one story about me. One of the things that people that have known me from childhood will tell you about me is that there is nothing I learn that I don't know. There's nothing there's no competitive value that I have that I don't find ways to commercialize. That's the secret. I started doing business from primary school. I'll tell you a story. When I was in primary school, right? My of course my parents could not afford to send us to summer holiday. So summer lessons. So what did we do? We relied on two things. It's either the Apostolic Church near my house is offering free summer classes, and the year they are not offering free summer classes, you know what I have to do? I have to go and learn. I have to go to number 10 Jeba Street, Oyinbo. Number 10 Jeba Street, Oyinbo. There was a cobbler there who was my father's friend, very old friend of my late dad. I mean, both of them are late now. So my dad will send us, myself and my elder brother will send us there to go and learn how to make shoes. So as at primary school, that was the first ever business I did. Making sandals for my neighbor's children, making sandals for children in my neighborhood. Now, people bought those sandals. Yes, they were good sandals because I didn't just make it myself. Of course, I had senior cobblers in the workshop that also assisted. But the fact that I was able to have the initiative to create that, and I take it to them. So the parents are not there when I'm taking the measurement of the children, by the way. So I take the measurement of the children. Then all that they see is that when in the evening, when the shoes are ready, I go to their apartment in the evening, and then I show the parents the sandal that I make for the children. The next question that comes to their mind, number one, they get wild. Remember, I'm in primary school. First question that comes to their mind is, wow, how much is this? And then I tell them, whatever price I name at that point is what they bought the shoe, right? So you must learn to engage your gifts. And if I did not engage that gift, and one thing you must also learn is that every gift has a time value. The gift that you were supposed to engage 10 years ago, if you do not engage it 10 years ago, if you start engaging it now, it becomes obsolete. There are some of you that your music talent, right? You were supposed to have unleashed your music talent long ago. And then today you are now beginning to do it. Yeah. Of course, God is merciful, God is gracious. But you see, there's a timing factor in every gifting that God has given to you. All right. So you must put your gift to productive use. Number 5, you must develop capacity. There is nothing noble in being superior to your fellow man. The true nobility is being superior to your former self. So you must always build capacity. Build capacity. Don't ever get complacent. Don't ever think that you have arrived. You know, I tell a lot of young people, if I give you my password, the password to my Udemy account, you'll be shocked. I have more than 3 dozen courses that I've bought on Udemy that I've not opened. Because I need every point in time, anything that I believe that is going to be of value in terms of knowledge, I go for it. Never get to the point where you think that you have arrived. You must always strive to be better than your former self. Always strive to be better than your former self. Always strive to be better than your former self. So develop your capacity. Develop your capacity. You know, one of the things I do is at every stage that I acquire certain, when I say money or wealth or something, one of the things I do is that I earmark a certain portion of that money to self-development. It can come in any way. Self-development might just be you traveling. So the normal travel, you would have said you are traveling for an holiday or a holiday. You look for, now you can afford to go on vacation, right? But technically, you can go on a working vacation. You look for a conference or an event, an opportunity that you can go, even if it's for 2 days. You network with people. You gain new experience. You gain new insights. You must be strategic about the way you live your life. So you must also be intentional about the way you develop your capacity. So develop your capacity. Number 6 is what? Understand the dispensation that you live in. We live in a very unique dispensation. Okay. All right, is my time? Is it time up? 2 minutes. Don't worry, I'll wrap up in 2 minutes. Understand the dispensation you live in. You know, the Bible spoke about the children of Issachar in 1 Chronicles chapter 12:32. It says they were men that had understanding of the times to know what Israel ought to do. So you must know, you must understand the dispensation you live in. You cannot live in this dispensation and you say, oh, I don't like computers, or I have phobia, or I don't. No. The times you live in will dictate the things you do, you know, or the kind of things you do, or the kind of positioning. Let me use the word positioning you take. All right. So understand the dispensation you live in. And finally, adjust your mindsets. And this is a very critical part, and it's a very good part to end. I think one of the biggest challenges we have is a problem of mindset. Some of us have lived for so long with limiting beliefs. Some of us, you have stayed for so long and you have a mindset that, look, I cannot enter into certain places. I cannot open certain doors. I cannot address certain people. I am limited. It's a mindset. What's the worst that can happen? That's the question I always ask myself. If I walk up to this person and I sell myself to this person, what's the worst that can happen? Rejection. So, well, I'm prepared for the worst, but I am ready to embrace the best. So you ask yourself, what is it that is limiting you? What is it that if you did not see that limitation, you will push further? What is that thing, right? It's a mindset thing. And that's why I started by saying that you have to renew your mind. You cannot be a catalyst if you have a wrong mindset. One of the things that I told you about catalyst is the fact that the catalyst itself, even though it helps to hasten the reaction, the catalyst itself, it's not conformed in the process. So you want to achieve certain things in life, and somebody has told you a lie that before you can be a millionaire in dollars or in whatever currency you want to be, you have to do internet fraud. That is a lie. That is a wrong mindset. And there are people who are doing legitimate businesses that are attracting a lot without soiling their hands. So you need to ask yourself, what part of the divide do you want to be? Do you want to be on the divide that you sell your conscience, all in the process of trying to make money to impress people that are not even watching you? Or you want to be on the right side where you work diligently and you are patient and you delay gratification to achieve what God has ordained for you to achieve. It's a mindset. You must wake up every day knowing that I am not limited. You must wake up every day knowing that, look, nobody has a right to tell me no. Anybody that tells me no today, it is to the person's disadvantage. There is some form of arrogance and ghost that you must walk out with every day, that people would know that, look, this guy, there's something different about him. Until you get to that point, you are not demanding from life. Life will not give you what you do not demand from it. You have to demand from life. Say no more pity partying. No more somebody trying to tell you, oh, I'm this and that and that. You can no. Tell yourself you don't need any pity party. All you need to do, wake up, shoulders high, heads up, move out every day, knowing that anybody that tells you no that day, person is making a great mistake, because there is so much in you that you can offer. And that does not come out of vacuum. You have to make sure that really there's something in you that you have to offer that your world needs. And as you do it, I believe God that, God will help you. Remember, the aim of this is not just for yourself. The aim of this is that you become a lekon. You become a lekon. You become an ore that is not just thinking about their own self, but they are thinking about making an impact in the lives of other people. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you. Don't yet God bless us. You're not leaving. Okay, because we know that some people have questions. They have questions for us in the chat box. But we're going to start this way. Thank you so much for that, by the way. You keep listening to someone, you think that you've learned a lot, but you then discover that there's always more to learn every time you hear from them, right? So I know that there are questions that are in the chat box. So I'm just going to ask about 2 questions since we've spent a lot of time already. So the first one will be like, so I know you were talking about your own background. You were talking about Tiliko's background. You were saying, oh, people that are hungry and stuff. But what if you're someone who is not hungry, in the sense that you had a great background, so nothing is driving you. You don't have that drive. What do you think can be that thing that can help you to become a catalyst? Like, yes, you don't have the what's the force, the remembrance of poverty. Poverty can drive one normally, right? But if you don't but if you don't have that mindset, if you don't have that background, you don't have that picture in your mind to push you every day, oh God, stand up, or I gotta make money, you don't want to be poor, if you don't have that in your mind, what can it be for you that would, help you out to join this, life-changing journey, right? To be serious, like we've been talking about. So that's the question that we wanted to just throw at
Okay, so
you.
first of all, let me start with the last thing you said, serious. So I'm the opposite of Lekon, right? I'm not a serious human being, as Lekon is. Lekon is too serious, right? So, but the difference is that Lekon is serious to people should teach him to relax a bit. Maybe some of you young ladies take him out
It
intentionally.
can't be helped. It can't be helped.
So yeah, I'm not that serious. Like, I can be very playful, and you know that about me already. I can be extremely playful. But the difference is
Yeah.
understanding the timing, knowing when to pull up what part of it. When I have to be serious, I'm serious. I'm not serious in the sense of frowning. I can be serious. I'll be laughing, but I'm doing serious stuff, right? So that's one. I just want to establish the fact that, look, yeah, it's not all robotics and being rigid, right? That's one. Now, back to the question you asked. See, what determines your hunger is not how much food you have in your house. Did you get that?
He got
Did you get
you.
that? Yeah.
Yes.
So you have food, but then hunger happens. All right. And then what that hunger now does is it makes you reach out to get food, or to cry for help and say, oh, this food that is in the house, yeah, people should give me. All right. Now I'm going to say something. Yesterday I was watching Pastor Taiwo's funeral, God rest his soul. I was watching, and
Yeah.
the tribute that stood out the most. Guess the tribute that stood out the most. The tribute by his twin children, the small ones. You know what
Yeah.
the boy said? He said that the father has been teaching them to stand by themselves, to stand, I'm just paraphrasing, to be their
Yes,
own
to make a name
self,
for
right?
themselves.
And not to rely on what their parents have, right? And
Yeah.
that's it. You see, hunger is not a function of. There are people who are from poor backgrounds who are not hungry. There
Yeah.
are people who were not born with anything who are not hungry, and there are still. But when you are, whether you are you were born with a silver spoon, or you were born with a plastic spoon like Lekon, or you were born without a spoon like me, right? The difference in what fuels your hunger is your purpose, and that's what I want to say. Find your purpose. The
Mm.
story about purpose is a story for another day. So when purpose
Mm-hmm.
is unknown, abuse is inevitable. You must find your purpose.
Yeah.
When you find your
Mm.
purpose, the truth about it is that even if your parents have money, your parents would sometimes, most times, are reluctant to use their money to fund your purpose, because sometimes they
Mm-hmm.
don't understand your purpose. Sometimes your purpose looks very naive to them, but you
Mm.
must find your purpose. It is purpose that drives hunger. It is purpose. You see, purpose will sap you, then you'll be hungry.
Mm.
Do you understand? When in
Yeah.
natural sense, before hunger comes, you would have like now I'm hungry, really, I'm hungry. I've been teaching from
Mm.
morning, Lekon knows, from 10 a.m. till now. And then immediately after my class, I jumped into this. I'm still in the class, really. I'm still in class. So I'm not here. So I am literally hungry. But you see, it is the same way that purpose saps you, it brings hunger out of you,
Any question again?
and you find ways to achieve. Yeah, all right.
Yes, I'm so sorry. Okay, I think it was lagging a bit. Okay, so you just triggered me by saying purpose, right?
Yeah,
But thank you so much
yeah,
for
no, no,
that.
no, 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 no,
That
no.
makes that makes perfect sense
The
to me,
purpose
right?
coach.
So awesome. Yeah, so I think what we are gonna have to do is maybe stop here for a bit. I'm pretty sure the some questions that I would have, we would have to send it to you because we are really, really running behind time. But you know that you are also the person that brought me on this purpose journey. You're also the person that I listened to, and I actually made a mind shift. So I want to just like say it out loud into the public. Thank you so much for changing my life, right? And I mean, your two proteges are right here in the same, on the same stage. So that's pretty awesome. And thank you so much for joining. We really, really, really appreciate you.